All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to be doing a deep dive today
Yeah.
into heart health and
attacks.
heart attacks. Yeah. We're going to be looking at a video by Dr. Mike Hansen. It's called 10 Rules to Prevent a Heart Attack.
Right.
And we're going to be pulling out some of the key takeaways. And
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really good advice in here.
Oh, yeah. I think this is one that everyone should pay attention to.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's anyone out there who's not concerned about their heart health.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that really stood out to me right off the bat was that Dr. Mike emphasizes that there are some things you can control when it comes to heart health, and then some things
you can't, like your age.
Like your age and your gender and family history.
Family history.
So we're going to break all that down. We're going to talk about the things that we can do and the things that maybe we can't do anything about, but, you know, we can at least understand what's going on.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, and even if there are those uncontrollable risk factors, there's still so much you can do to kind of mitigate those risks.
Exactly.
With those things that you can control.
Yeah. So before we jump into Dr. Mike's 10 rules, I thought it might be helpful to just get a basic understanding of what exactly happens during a heart attack.
Sure, yeah. So a heart attack, also known as a myocardial infarction, is basically when the blood supply to a part of your heart gets cut off.
So the heart's a muscle.
Exactly.
It needs blood.
It needs blood, needs oxygen, and that's supplied through the blood.
Yeah.
And so if that gets cut off, then the heart muscle starts to die.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, and this is usually caused by a blockage in the arteries that supply blood to the heart.
These blockages are caused by...
Yeah, so these are caused by a buildup of plaque in the arteries, which is this kind of like sticky, fatty substance. And this process is called atherosclerosis.
Atherosclerosis.
And so, you know, over time, this plaque builds up.
Right.
It can harden.
Yeah.
And it narrows the arteries, making it harder for the blood to flow through.
Right.
And that's when you start to have problems.
So it's not just something that happens overnight.
No.
This is something that's happening.
It's a gradual process.
Gradually over time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a gradual process, and it's often fueled by chronic inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
And something called endothelial dysfunction, which is basically like damage to the inner lining of your arteries.
And that's where the plaque can kind of stick to.
Exactly. It's like if you imagine like little scratches on the inside of a pipe. Yeah. It's easier for things to kind of get caught there and build up.
Yeah. So this plaque, it's building up over time.
Yeah.
It's narrowing those arteries. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, something happens.
Yeah. So at some point, this plaque can rupture.
Okay.
And that's like a dam breaking.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it triggers your blood to clot.
Okay.
And that clot can completely block the artery.
Oh, God.
Cutting off the blood flow completely.
Wow. So that's what causes the actual heart attack.
Exactly.
Okay, wow.
It's that lack of oxygen-rich blood that causes the damage to the heart muscle, and that's what we call a heart attack.
So this is pretty serious stuff.
It is serious stuff.
But the good news is, like we were saying, there are things we can do to prevent this.
There are things you can do
from happening
to reduce your risk.
Yeah, so let's talk about those.
Okay, let's get into Dr. Mike's 10 rules.
All right, let's do it.
Well, you mentioned a surprise earlier.
I did.
Why don't we start with that?
Yeah.
Rule number 10 is...
don't do cocaine.
There you go.
I mean, that seems pretty straightforward.
Straightforward, yeah.
Don't do cocaine.
I think we can all agree on that one.
Yeah, I think that's good advice for overall health.
General life advice.
General life advice, right?
But moving on to something maybe a little bit more...
applicable.
Yeah, rule number 9.
Okay.
Don't smoke cigarettes. This is a big one.
Yeah.
Because quitting smoking can drastically reduce your risk of a heart attack.
Really?
We're talking a 65% reduction.
65%?
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's huge.
So if you're smoking...
if you're smoking quit.
Correct.
It's one of the best things you can do for your heart.
It's amazing how much our lifestyle choices really impact our heart health.
Yeah.
So rule number 8 is all about reducing stress.
Right.
Which I don't know about you, but I feel like stress plays a big role in my overall health.
Can relate to that?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, chronic stress really takes a toll on your body.
Yeah. And it seems like
in your mind,
it's like a mind-body connection there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a really fascinating study, actually from Harvard, the longest of its kind.
Wow.
That shows a link between meaningful relationships and longevity.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So having those strong social connections.
Yeah, like close relationships.
Yeah.
Friends, family.
Really can impact.
Can actually help you live a longer, healthier life.
So it's not just good for our emotional health. It's good for our physical health as well.
It's all connected.
That's amazing. All right. So we've got don't do cocaine.
Check.
Don't smoke cigarettes.
Check.
And reduce stress.
Check.
3 rules down.
7 to go.
So this is where things start to get a little bit more intertwined.
Okay.
Rules 7 through 1 are all kind of connected with a focus on insulin resistance, inflammation, and the food that we eat.
Okay, so we're going to unpack that.
Yes, we are.
After the break.
We'll be right back.
So insulin resistance, inflammation, and diet, huh?
Yep.
Okay, so break it down for us. Like, what is the connection between those 3 things?
Well, it all starts with insulin resistance.
Okay.
Insulin resistance is like this, it's this sneaky little thing that can really wreak havoc on your heart health.
And it's linked to a whole bunch of other problems like high cholesterol, high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome.
Oh, wow. So it's like a domino effect.
Exactly. It's like one thing leads to another.
Okay.
And it all kind of stems from this insulin resistance issue.
So remind me, what is insulin resistance again?
Okay, so think of insulin as a key that unlocks your cells to let glucose in, which is sugar from the food you eat.
Yeah.
And that glucose provides energy to your cells.
Okay.
Now, insulin resistance is like having a rusty lock.
Okay.
The key doesn't work as well.
Right.
The glucose can't get into the cells effectively.
Okay.
So it builds up in your bloodstream.
And that's bad.
And that's where the problems start.
Yeah. Okay. So how do we know if we have insulin resistance?
Well, one of the best indicators is your triglyceride to HDL ratio.
Okay. I've heard of that, but I don't really know what that means.
Okay, so triglycerides are a type of fat found in your blood.
Mm-hmm.
And HDL is the good cholesterol. It's like a cleanup crew that removes excess cholesterol from your system.
Okay. I always get confused about the good cholesterol and the bad cholesterol.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. So think of LDL cholesterol.
Okay.
That's the bad cholesterol as like sticky notes.
Sticky notes. Okay.
That can cling to your artery walls.
And that's what contributes to that plaque buildup.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, HDL, the good cholesterol, is like a tiny broom.
Oh, okay.
It sweeps away those sticky notes and keeps things clean.
Oh, okay. That's a good analogy.
So you want high HDL and low LDL.
Okay. Got it.
Now, back to that triglyceride to HDL ratio.
Okay.
This ratio is a really good indicator of insulin resistance.
Okay.
If your triglycerides are high and your HDL is low, it's a red flag that you might have insulin resistance.
So it's important to get that checked.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And what's interesting is that the ideal ratio can actually vary slightly, depending on your ethnicity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for Caucasians, a ratio over 2.5 is a sign of metabolic syndrome.
Okay.
While for African Americans, the threshold is 1.5.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's important to be aware of those differences.
Okay, so we've got our triglyceride to HDL ratio.
Yep.
What about LDL cholesterol?
So LDL cholesterol is definitely a factor.
Okay.
But it's important to look at the whole picture.
Okay.
If your LDL is under 70, you're probably in good shape.
Okay.
But if it's over 300, it could indicate a rare genetic condition called familial hypercholesterolemia.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, and that would require a specific diet and medication.
Okay.
But for most people whose LDL falls somewhere between 70 and 300, that triglyceride to HDL ratio is the key number to focus on.
Okay, so that's the one we really want to pay attention to.
Exactly.
Okay, so what if our triglyceride to HDL ratio is not where it should be?
Well, that's where Dr. Mike's remaining rules come in.
Okay.
And they all revolve around lifestyle changes.
Okay, give me those lifestyle changes.
All right, so rule number 7 is all about exercise.
Okay.
Dr. Mike emphasizes the importance of regular physical activity.
Okay.
And, it doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Right.
Even a brisk walk every day can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week.
Okay, so that's like 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week?
Exactly.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, it's totally doable.
What about rule number 6?
Rule number 6 is intermittent fasting.
Okay, I've heard of that.
It's become quite popular.
Yeah.
And it's not about starving yourself.
Okay.
It's more about strategically timing your meals.
Okay, so explain that.
So basically, you would have periods of eating and then periods of fasting.
Okay.
And during those fasting periods, your body starts doing some amazing things.
Like what?
Well, one of them is autophagy.
Autophagy? Okay.
Which is basically like spring cleaning for your cells.
Okay.
Your body starts breaking down and recycling damaged cellular components.
So it's like hitting the reset button.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then there's also mitophagy.
Mitophagy.
Which specifically targets damaged mitochondria.
Which are the powerhouses of the cells.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's like giving those powerhouses a tune-up.
So intermittent fasting, it's good for our cells.
Yeah, it's like a cellular rejuvenation process.
That's awesome. All right, so we've got exercise, we've got intermittent fasting.
Mm.
Now let's talk about those unprocessed foods.
Yes, let's dive into that.
What's rule number 5?
Rule number 5 is all about omega-3 fatty acids.
Omega-3s.
These are the good fats that have powerful anti-inflammatory properties.
Okay.
And we know inflammation is a big driver of heart disease.
Right, right.
So getting enough omega-3s is crucial.
So where do we find these omega-3s?
You can find them in fatty fish, like salmon mackerel and sardines.
Okay.
And also in plant-based sources like chia seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts.
Okay.
Aim for at least 1 to 2 grams per day.
Okay, I can add some salmon to my grocery list.
There you go.
All right, what about rule number 4?
Rule number 4 is all about getting enough vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants.
Okay.
And the best way to do that is by eating a rainbow of fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Think leafy greens, vibrant berries, colorful peppers.
I like color.
The more variety, the better.
Okay, rule number 3.
Rule number 3 is to minimize saturated fat.
Oh, I thought we needed fat.
We do need fat.
Okay.
But it's about choosing the right kinds of fat.
Okay.
So while small amounts of saturated fat from natural sources like avocados or nuts are fine,
Okay.
it's best to limit saturated fat from processed meats like pepperoni and bacon.
Okay, so it's not all fat is bad.
Exactly.
Just certain types of fat.
You got it.
Okay, rule number 2.
Rule number 2 is to avoid added sugar and refined carbs.
Oh, man. It's a tough one.
I know, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's estimated that 75% of processed foods in grocery stores contain added sugar.
75%.
What's crazy, right?
That's a lot.
It's sneaky, it's addictive,
Yeah.
and it's one of the biggest culprits behind insulin resistance.
So how much added sugar should we be aiming for each day?
Ideally, less than 25 grams per day.
Okay.
And remember, that includes the sugar hiding in processed foods,
Right.
not just the sugar you add to your coffee or tea.
Okay, that's a good point.
Read those labels.
Yes, read those labels. All right,
Yeah.
we've made it to the top of the list. Rule number 1.
Drum roll, please.
What is it?
It's fiber.
Fiber, really?
Yes.
Fiber.
I would not have guessed that.
It's the unsung hero of heart health.
Interesting. Okay, tell me more about fiber.
All right, so most of us only consume about half of the recommended daily intake of fiber,
Oh, wow.
which is 25 to 30 grams.
Okay.
And what makes fiber even more powerful is that it comes in 2 forms,
Okay.
soluble and insoluble.
Okay, soluble and insoluble, what's the difference?
So soluble fiber, as its name suggests, dissolves in water.
Okay.
And it forms this gel-like substance that helps lower cholesterol levels.
Okay.
It's like a sponge that soaks up excess cholesterol in your digestive system.
Interesting.
Now, insoluble fiber doesn't dissolve in water. Okay.
It adds bulk to your stool and helps keep things moving smoothly through your digestive tract.
So soluble fiber for cholesterol, insoluble fiber for...
Regularity.
Okay, got it.
Now, you can find soluble fiber in foods like oats, beans, lentils, apples, and pears.
Okay.
And insoluble fiber is abundant in whole grains, vegetables, nuts, and seeds.
Got it.
And here's a little mythbuster for you.
Okay.
Processed bread, despite what some labels might claim, is not a good source of insoluble fiber.
Wait, really? I thought bread was supposed to be high in fiber.
Well, here's the catch.
Okay.
During the milling process, the bran and germ of the wheat kernel,
Okay.
which contain most of the insoluble fiber, are removed.
Oh, so it's like stripped away?
Exactly.
Wow.
So you're left with just the endosperm,
Okay.
which is mostly starch.
So processed bread is not the fiber superhero I thought it was?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned that both types of fiber are important for heart health, but you seem particularly passionate about insoluble fiber.
Ah, yeah.
Why is that?
Well, insoluble fiber, it's like this amazing regulator in your digestive system.
Okay.
It slows down digestion and absorption,
Mm-hmm.
which helps you feel fuller for longer.
Yes?
And it prevents those blood sugar spikes that can lead to insulin resistance.
Right.
It's like a natural way to keep your blood sugar stable.
Exactly.
That's awesome, but getting enough fiber every day can be a challenge.
Yeah, it can be.
Do you have any tips?
Well, that's where Dr. Mike's personal favorite comes in: smoothies.
Smoothies. I love smoothies.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
They're convenient.
Yeah.
And they're a great way to sneak in all those fiber-rich ingredients.
That's a great idea. I actually add chia seeds to my smoothies sometimes for that extra fiber boost.
Exactly. And you can get really creative with smoothies.
Yeah.
Dr. Mike actually shares some of his favorite smoothie recipes in other videos.
Oh, cool.
So check those out.
Yeah, I'll definitely check those out. So we've learned a ton about heart attacks today. And Dr. Mike's 10 rules are really practical advice for preventing them. What do you think?
I think it's empowering, right? We're not just helpless bystanders when it comes to our heart health.
Totally agree. I'm definitely walking away from this with a renewed sense of, motivation to take better care of my heart.
Me too.
What was your biggest takeaway from all this?
It's going to be the fiber thing. I mean, I knew fiber was important, but Dr. Mike really drove home how critical it is for preventing heart attacks.
Right. Me too. Like, it's not just about digestion anymore. It's about controlling blood sugar, cholesterol, even weight management. It's like a heart health multitasker.
Exactly. And it's easy to get more of it. Just eat more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and, like you said, chia seeds.
Yeah, chia seeds are a game changer. I add them to everything.
I think another important point Dr. Mike made was that these 10 rules are a great starting point, but we also need to consider our individual risk factors.
Oh, that's so important. It's not one size fits all, right?
Right. Damn. It's like you wouldn't use the same map to get to two different destinations.
Perfect analogy. So, like, if someone has a family history of heart disease, they might need to be even more diligent about following these rules.
Yeah, or maybe adjust them a bit, with the help of their doctor, of course.
Definitely talk to your doctor. They can assess your individual risk factors, look at your blood work, the whole picture.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, right? When we understand our risks, we can take control and make informed decisions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So we covered a lot today, folks. We talked about what happens during a heart attack, the risk factors, both controllable and uncontrollable, and, of course, Dr. Mike's 10 rules for preventing them.
We explored the power of exercise, intermittent fasting, a diet rich in unprocessed foods, and, of course, the magnificent fiber.
It's been a truly insightful deep dive. I feel like I've got a whole new toolkit for keeping my heart healthy.
I'm right there with you.
So, to our listeners, we have a question for you. What one small change can you make today to improve your heart health?
Could be anything. Swap that sugary drink for a glass of water, add an extra serving of veggies to your plate, take a walk during your lunch break.
Anything that moves you closer to a healthier heart. Remember, even small changes can have a big impact over time.
You've got this.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into heart health. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay well.